Hey friends, I'm Diane Harris from Stash Bandit, and I wanted to take a minute today to tell you about something that happens to me when I come back into my sewing space after a really big quilt project is finished, or sometimes after I've just been away from home for a week or so. I get this funny feeling when I walk in that I'm a little bit lost. I'm not sure exactly where to start. And so I have learned a little trick that helps me get going again, and I wanted to share that with you. So I think of this as priming the pump. It's a way to get the creativity going again so that you can jump full force back into making what you love. And I have a little block that I make. I keep the patches for it cut regularly. Sometimes they're in a little bin or a shoebox or something near my cutting area, but I always have them ready to go, and I use this little block to prime the pump. And so it is one of my favorite little blocks. It's called, I just have named it a Baby Windmill. It's not my original design. I think it's in the public domain. It's not in Brockman's encyclopedia exactly like this, but it is in the encyclopedia with this rectangle as a flying geese unit. So it's been around for a very long time, but it makes a really good simple block and a way to get things going again. So I make them at a 4-inch finished size, but you can make them at any size that works for you. So they require a light fabric and a dark fabric. So I chose for this little block this pinkish purple as my light and this tealish fabric as my dark. The patches are bricks. In other words, they finish, no matter what size they are, they're going to finish twice as long as wide. So I cut little bricks that are 1.5 by 2.5. And so here is a light brick and a dark brick sewn together. So 1.5 by 2.5, those are the bricks that I use for these little 4-inch finished blocks. So you'll cut 4 that are dark and 4 that are light, and you sew a dark and a light together into a pair, and you do that 4 times so that you have these 4 little pairs of bricks. Then what you're going to do is you're going to join 2 of those pairs so that they make a funny looking capital L. So here is the base of the uppercase L, and you can see that the part that extends upward is shorter than the base. That's why it's kind of a weird looking uppercase L. But you make 2 of those, just like this. You make 2 of those funny looking uppercase L's, and then one of them you're going to rotate and sew those 2 together, and that gives you your little windmill. So just a side note, this makes a windmill that spins clockwise, and you can make the windmills spin clockwise or counterclockwise, but in one project it's usually imperative that you have them all spinning the same way. So making the funny looking capital L's is an easy way to explain how you get them all spinning in the same direction without a great deal of thought or effort. So then you're going to rotate that one, sew them together, and that gives you this little baby windmill block. And I started making these right after I went to work for Quiltmaker. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and suddenly I was commuting an hour each way to an office job where I got to think and write about quilts all day. So that part was great, but I wasn't having any time to sew, and I was really pretty unhappy about that. So in desperation, I cut up these little rectangles so that I could very easily, without much thought, make these little blocks when I was too tired to handle any creative decisions. So pretty soon I had, dozens, and then I had hundreds, and then I had to figure out what to do with all of them. And so I started a whole series of quilts based on this baby windmill, and it's now one of my trunk shows, and it's really a fun and entertaining look at what you can do with one very simple idea. So the next time you go into your sewing space and you're not quite sure where to begin, maybe it will help if you prime the pump, and you are welcome to use my little windmill block to do that. So in the section below where you can click on links and things, I will put a link to a blog post that gives you a how-to for this little block, and then some other ideas for what you can do with it. So thanks for being here today. I'm Diane Harris from Stash Bandit.